and welcome back to our channel. My name is Ellen.
I'm Michelle.
And today we're going to talk about another book that Michelle read called The Chrysalids. Okay, so it is still November, which means it's still NaNoWriMo, which means my head is still spinning with the writing. So instead of reading a whole lot, I've been working on my third book. So I have no books to talk about.
She is vicariously doing booktube through myself.
Yes, so she's going to talk about a book that she enjoyed in high school. And take it away, Michelle.
Thank you. And it begins.
Yes. Oh man,
Okay.
Giggle Fest.
So I told you last week that I wanted to read The Chrysalids. And I did. I did mention Pippi Longstockings as well, and I fully intended to read it, but there was some discussion between Ellen and I believe Barrett.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anybody else, but we're thinking about having kind of a collab thing and talking about it together and stuff. So we're going to leave that one till January, I believe.
Yeah, we're thinking January. I haven't really talked to Barrett about it other than just comments that...
Hey, Barrett.
Hey Barrett, we should do a collab. And he said, yeah, that sounds great. And that's the last we said about it. So I don't know if Barrett was actually serious. There's nothing firm. We haven't arranged anything concrete.
There's nothing even penciled in.
Yeah, no. It's like concrete, wet concrete, or gum.
Back to the book. So I had read this book in grade 10 as part of required reading, and we talked about required reading in the comments.
Yes.
For the last
I was
video.
bad for that.
Yeah, it's funny. It's an interesting. The psychology of it is interesting, and I know things have changed because when we were in school, required weeding.
Weeding?
Required weeding.
That was gardening class. Horticulture.
Wascally wabbit. For required reading, they would say, okay, we're all going to read this book, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody had to read it and all that. I don't know if that has changed up a little bit. I know there is some more choice in books now.
Yeah. Anyone still in high school, let us know if that's still a thing where you have a book that everyone has to read in a certain amount of time to discuss in class.
Yeah. But anyway.
I was always bad for that. I didn't like being told what to read. Don't live by my example.
I just didn't do my homework a lot. Would push things off. The Chrysalids I did read. Consequently, it was in actually summer school because I really slacked off in grade 10. And so summer school I read The Chrysalids.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just me? Okay, good.
So yeah, really enjoyed the book then, and again, I really enjoyed it this time. And I didn't remember much. I remember, like the last video I had mentioned this, I thought somebody had 6 fingers. It was actually 6 toes. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic kind of society. Something has happened, you know that something has happened, and the world is not what it used to be. There are the bones of what used to exist, but nobody understands what life used to be before that. And they were left with 2 books. One book was the Bible, and another book was, I can't remember.
We'll put the other book, the name, up on the screen here somewhere to let you know. But.
Yeah, sorry guys, I don't know why I didn't write that down. This particular society has based everything on these 2 books. And it says here on the back, it says, okay, I gotta put my glasses on.
Yeah.
In The Chrysalids, John Wyndham takes the reader into the anguished heart of a community where the chances of breeding true are less than 50%, and where deviations are rooted out and destroyed as offenses and abominations. The narrator of The Chrysalids is David, who can communicate with a small group of other young people by means of thought shapes. This deviation from a cruel, rigid norm goes unnoticed at first, but sooner or later the secret is bound to be discovered, and the results are violent, horrific, and believable. So everything is about deviations from what they consider to be the norm, which they say is the image of God, that they should be the image of God. So their idea of the image of God is, basically they go right down, it's all physical, right? So there's the one head, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 2 ears, a mouth,
10
and
fingers.
It goes right down, 2 arms, 10 fingers, 10 toes, all this stuff. So head to foot. So anyway, they're always looking to find any kind of deviation and destroy it and get rid of it. And it goes right down to like crops. If the corn doesn't turn out right, the whole field is burned. If, a calf is born wrong or a lamb or something, they kill it, they burn it, destroy it. It's not used. So, but it also extends to people. And David's father is David's father is extremely strict in this respect, and in every respect he's very controlling, strict, and I will give this out to anybody who might find it a trigger. His father, it's implied his abuse, how he can be abusive. There isn't actually specific scenes. I don't believe that that it's outright described, but it is implied, and the results are also discussed. So just to give you a heads up on that, there isn't a lot of it in the book, but it is something that's there, and always the threat of it is always hanging in the air, and it's talked about how that it's palatable, and they know when he's going to go off, and how the family all, there's like the busies themselves and stuff to kind of be out of his path. David, it goes right from when he's quite young. So it starts when he's quite young, and it goes through, how he perceives the world. It's kind of interesting in my part, being an ECE, and looking at how children perceive the world and how he's perceiving things that are going on around him. And there's a couple characters in it who will talk to him about things, and they'll say, well, you'll understand when you're older, And he, in his mind, he'll say, I didn't totally understand what they were saying, but I got the gist of it, or I got the feeling. And then they'll say to him that they can see it in his face or whatever, and they'll be like, you'll understand when you're older. And we've all heard that. And it actually is true, because children, there's certain stages in their development where they can perceive things and understand things on a solid sense, or things that are more concrete, but they can't understand things in an abstract fashion until they're older.
Experience teaches a lot.
Yeah, but there's actually, experience does. There is a lot to do with that, but there's physically, they actually can't quite do that yet.
Yeah, their brain isn't fully developed yet, so yeah.
So it goes through his life and him growing up, and how he discovers other young people that can do the same thing he can, communicate through thought shapes and stuff like that. You get these experiences throughout. There's different things with crops or animals, that there's deviations in how they're handled, and how his father takes an affront to his own faith when something happens that's a deviation on their farm. And it's a lot about how other people perceive them as a family, or that kind of thing too, right? There's discussion about, okay, if something goes wrong, say there's a deviation, say the crop failed or something, then everybody has to meet for prayers, and they have to ask for forgiveness and all of this kind of stuff. But I want to let you know that it's not a slam on faith. I'm going to say it that way. But it's kind of a slam on organized religion in a way. And how people...
Legalism and...
Yeah. It's a really interesting book. I found, I will say that some of the writing, a little bit awkward to read. And I don't know if that was on purpose with kind of how the people are talking there and how they speak, or if it's more that the person that was writing it was just their style. But there were some parts that were a little bit awkward in the read, but not so much that it pulls you out or that you can't really understand what's being said. There were parts where a couple of the characters go on a tangent. It seems preachy, but is the character being preachy?
That's what I was going to say, or is it
more the
author?
character?
Yeah, okay.
Because
so
even it mentions that there's one character in it who's rather young, and it says that she kind of glazed over, wasn't really listening anymore. She was bored, and I'm like, I'm feeling that, you know?
So it was the author's choice for the character to be preachy. And
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's better. I mean, there are people and characters that are preachy. It's just not good for the author to be preachy.
Yeah,
so
and it's not
misunderstood.
Just to warn you, it doesn't go on forever or anything. It's a few paragraphs, maybe a page or something. So it goes through David's life and him growing and his group of friends and how they communicate with thought pictures, how they try very hard not to be found out, and how they develop. They're all children and they grow up into be teenagers and young adults, and just how each one of them, they find they have different needs, and some feel trapped and angry, and some feel they just want to be normal. They're tired of constantly being afraid of every word that they say that it's going to give them away. And then others are just angry. They're just so angry because they feel like the others are beneath them. For the most part, almost the whole book, you are just in David's culture and with David's people, right? Mm-hmm. And so in order to understand what these other societies that we come into contact with are all about, you kind of need a bit more discussion from that person so you know exactly what they're thinking and what. Can one person represent a whole society? No. But I think in this case it was kind of necessary because you couldn't go there and spend a lot of time and meet a lot of people. There are characters in here who are supportive of David, and they don't hold as fast to things the way his father does. You almost think that everybody is like his dad for a while. His mom and dad are both very strict, but you start to see that there are some other people, some that are high up in the government and some that are just family and friends and that, but yeah, you see that they don't all believe this way. And I think that's something important that we can all take out of this book. But we need to be open to the fact that just because we have an idea of how things work, or we think things should work, we need to be open that that is flawed and that our systems are flawed.
Yeah.
And there are exceptions to the rule, and that we need to find better ways. We need to always be looking for better ways to do things and better ways to even look at each other.
We have to be self-aware.
Yeah.
When we think something, like, don't speak as soon as we think it, because we have to be self-aware of, okay, is this really how I feel? Mm-hmm. Or is this like societal norms that have been hammered into my brain over the years? And like kind of examine it to see if what we say is going to be hurtful. Because sometimes we're hurtful and we don't even mean to be.
Oh yeah.
We're saying things that is just, like I said, hammered into our brain by society. And we've never really examined it to see how truthful it is.
I have a couple excerpts here that might help you with the understanding of the book. He told his sister about the thought pictures and stuff that he had. And she said to him, she warned him very seriously not to mention it to anyone else. Other people, as far as she knew, did not have such pictures in their heads, either sleeping or waking, because he was talking about some dreams that he had. So it would be unwise to mention them. That was good advice. Luckily, I had the sense to take it.
That's, another part of the human condition, not taking advice.
He says, people in our district had a very sharp eye for the odd or the unusual. so that even my left-handedness caused slight disapproval. So even the slightest deviation is not looked upon fondly. Now, there was one person, now I told you how there was different people in his life, or different people in his sphere of influence, or who influenced him, that he heard from and saw different points of view. And it was good because it would rock his world, right? And he would see, okay, you know what? Everything isn't just the way that it's presented by my family and close influences, right? So this one person, and I won't say who because it gives away, an important part of the book. She was told to pray and to ask for forgiveness and this and that because of something. She said, "I shall pray. Yes, I shall pray." She paused and then she went on, her voice steady and harder. "I shall pray God to send charity into this hideous world, and sympathy for the weak, and love for the unhappy and the unfortunate. I shall ask him if it is indeed his will that a child should suffer and its soul be damned for the little blemish on its body. And I shall pray him, too, that the hearts of the self-righteous may be broken." So I thought, wow. Mm-hmm. So the leadership and the ones that were trying to keep control in society knew that there were people that didn't fully agree with everything that was going on. And things had changed over time, and you'll hear this in the book, from the beginning and the rigidity of it and stuff, and what was done with people who were deviations. Or they called the people abominations. But it says here, later on, he says, "Before I found her rhetorical style somewhat overwhelming, but in general I was able to follow the line of thought. I did not have the power of detachment that could allow me to think myself as another species, nor am I sure that I have it yet." So again, it's a matter of, and you see this all the way through history, this is a thing that is done over and over and over, where they will, if they want to control or they want to get rid of a certain part of society, members of society or group, they will peck away at their humanity. Are they really human? Are they really up to our standard? They, little by little, make them be perceived as inhuman or different species or something. Just an example, and I know everybody goes to the Nazis, but it's something that you saw in Germany with the Jews. For a long time, there was things like political cartoons. Somebody was supposed to be a Jew, but they would have rat-like features to try and dehumanize them. Because once they're dehumanized in people's eyes, then other things are more acceptable to happen and be done. I think a big lesson to be taken from this book is when you see someone or some group trying to peck away at the humanity or dehumanizing another group, you need to nip it in the bud, and you need to recognize nothing good is going to come of this. It's always trying to boost themselves up and push somebody else down.
I grew up with friends who were afraid to come out. Mm-hmm. I grew up with friends who, I'm sad to say I didn't see the prejudices against them, but they probably experienced it.
It's a great book. It really is, and it isn't entirely preachy. There are some spots, but again, it is the characters that are speaking. It helps you think about what you believe,
and why you believe it.
Why you believe it. One thing I want to mention that in this, you see a lot of what you might call cherry picking. They picked out things from the Bible, but they looked at it through a certain
very narrow view.
Yeah. So they just picked out stuff that they could use to control people and not the whole body of the Bible.
So this is the characters in the book, not the author, right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, the characters in the book, the society and how they were controlling people and trying to weed out deviations. It was like the whole Bible was about just everybody having 2 legs and 2 arms. It was very harsh, but really, really good book. It's good for teens and on up.
Yeah.
It's a really good story, and I really like how David, he has so many experiences, and our experiences do affect who we are. So you see how it changes him as he goes through his life. Just to touch on it, I'm just interested. With the Chrysalids, there was 2 books left over that this society based everything on. So I am curious, can you think of a couple books, and say there was 2 books left, choose 2 books that you think, I don't know if you think would be funny, if you think would be really interesting, 2 books that survive, and what kind of society would develop from those 2 books.
Oh dear, that's okay. I can think of some funny answers now.
So I would put it in the comments, because I think that would be so much fun. Because they had no context for these books, right? Mm-hmm. They might not even think that books were written for fiction. What if they thought that's actually what it was like? Oh, well, Mordor must have won. Who knows? I think it'd be really a fun discussion.
Yeah.
So if you've read the Chrysalids and you have a different take on it, please comment, because that's just kind of what I got from it. I would love to hear what you think about the book and
I
the
want to read
characters. It now. But yeah, it was fun.
That's funny. That's what would happen in discussions in English class too. I wouldn't read the book because I didn't like being told what to read. I'd fake my way through discussions, and then by the end of the discussion, I'd be like, "Oh, I kind of wish I read that." Now I don't have time because I gotta not read the next book. Oh, don't be like me. If you're in high school watching this, do not be like me. Be better than me. It's a low bar, so you should do fine.
So for next week, we were talking about starting the Christmas adaptations,
yes.
And we are, but we are not going to do the big one the big reveal one, next week, because Ellen is still in the NaNoWriMo mode. She just doesn't have the time to put into a regular size novel, so we're going to go for something a little shorter.
Yeah. To
start. We're going to surprise you. There'll be little Christmas gifts, a little Christmas surprise every week.
We're really looking forward to this. This is it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we have it planned to be a different kind of format from the way we did it last year, but it's still gonna be us discussing and having lots of gags and stuff. We're gonna show clips.
Oh yeah.
So last year it was just us discussing the differences, and this year we're actually going to show clips from the movies as we're discussing the difference between that scene in the movie and that scene in the book, and so we're looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
If everything pans out with the showing the clips.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's what we have for you this week. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like,
comment,
and subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell so that you get notified when we upload new videos. We try to upload a new BookTube video every Wednesday and a new AuthorTube video every Friday. Thanks for watching, guys.
Stay happy,
healthy,
and safe.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.